Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Sacred Rhythms. This is where we bridge and blend ancient wisdom with modern living. And I'm Naomi. Welcome. I recently posted a little short or reel chatting about the rising signs and how intrinsic your rising sign is, specifically the planet that rules your rising sign. That planet is very intrinsic to you. And it is the planet that also will support you during the hard times. That's what the reel was about. If I can connect it to this video to that reel, I will. Um because I really just wanted that as an intro. So we're done with the intro now, but um I also wanted to chat about astrology, my experience with it, and maybe like a different way. It's a way that I look at it that I see as being different than typically like what I see in pop astrology. One of my favorite astrologers, Dr. Michael Lennox, um, I could see him lining up more with this, but definitely not in the pop astrology world. My exposure to astrology began back in 2019 whenever I really started going down the whole path of doing something different than what I was raised around. And so the foundation of my relationship with astrology is built around understanding how an individual is designed on a star, you could even call it an esoteric level. And it has been incredibly enlightening and very, very helpful, especially that rising sign information. That was one of the first pieces of information that really helped me get more connected to myself and helped me feel more grounded as a human being and a spirit being on planet Earth. So, I do not look at astrology as prediction. I do not address it as that. Do see how it can be that. I also do see, though, that we as human beings, as souls, have a free will and we have our own relationship with divine. And so the stars and the planets are all interacting with our soul print and our relationship with divine, with God. So it isn't just about like, oh, when am I going to meet my husband? Or, oh, when is my career going to launch? Or, oh, when am I going to have a baby? Or, oh, like, when is my health going to get better? Like, yes, you can see that, but I really don't like it. Like, I really do not like it. And it's nice to know for the brain, for the mind, but it's actually not good for the body. It's really really not good for the body at all. And why do I say that? Because as soon as we externalize, have this information outside of us, and we have this mental expectation because of what somebody else said that is an expert in the field, and they very well could be an expert. I'm just saying this because ultimately you're the expert of your body, not that other person, of your spirit, not that other person. They are meant to just be guides. And so, as soon as you give your mind power over to that astrologer, over to that expert, you are disconnecting your mind from your body's experience of being a soul, living in a body. Because you are literally saying, okay, tell me what I can expect. Tell me to help my amygdala brain feel safe in this world, rather than saying in your head, what would you say? You could say something like, I'm going to take this information in and I'm going to just hold it with awareness of this is something that could possibly happen, but I'm also going to acknowledge my role in this, my responsibility as an autonomous sovereign human being, my role in this dynamic if and when it does come. And rather I just don't like it. I just don't. It makes me mad a little bit. And I am one of those peoples that I love astrology and I love looking at all that stuff, but as soon as I notice, let me say it that way, as soon as I notice that my mind is attaching to something and is saying this is it, I immediately want, like, my heart and my gut wants to shut down because it's disconnecting me from actually the experience. The experience of being human. Like, we've got to experience all the things. Like, that's why we're here. And there is so much beauty that's meant to be felt even whenever we're feeling pain. Okay. So that's the big thing, okay, for me. And there is, once again, like, so much value in astrology whenever it comes to really understanding your design and on like a esoteric or soul level. The other piece that I really geek out on is bringing the Chinese medicine into this. I'm not going to touch that at all today because I do like to keep these a little short. Um, and I also just like snippets because I tend to go deep and then people get lost. I even get lost whenever I'm rewatching it. So it's fine. We're still figuring it all out. But with astrology, the beautiful thing about this, I am going to touch on it a little bit, but I'm not going to go into a lot of depth with it. Essentially, you have your top 3 pieces in astrology: your rising sign, your sun, and your moon. There's a lot more in a chart, but that's commonly what people will talk about, are those 3 characteristics. My frame of reference, in the context of, once again, just for the sake of saying it again, is all with the intention of understanding my design on a more esoteric level. The beautiful thing about astrology and a person's chart is your birth time is the time, whatever time you were born at, that time is what determines your earthly experience. And I say that because your sun is sitting in a specific house, a specific area, triangle, of your natal chart. That little area is what your conscious awareness, what your sun is meant to be focusing on. The area of life on earth, what it's meant to be focusing on. The TCM side, the Chinese medicine side, has an organ associated with that. Once again, whole other side thing. So that is based off of your birth time. So, and I say that because the birth time is what determines the layout of the houses. And so wherever that sun lands in the layout of the houses is what determines your earthly experience. The organization of all the planets and the signs that they're in and the relationships that they have with each other, aka like if your sun is really close to your moon, or if your Saturn is opposite in an opposite sign as your sun, any of those things, those are going to be more connected to the esoteric, like the energetic experience that you have as a human living on earth. But it's going to be more of the inner workings or the ways that you show up as an individual versus what is my experience on this earth like. What is it supposed to be focusing on? And that's that where that sun is located in your chart. So that's your sun sign. Conscious awareness, frontal lobe. It's very mind oriented. It's very, I know exactly what my focus is. As an example, my sun is sitting right at the end of the fourth house and about to go into the fifth house. Kind of. So, but mainly. So my focus is essentially on, it's like I've gained a lot of wisdom in one way or another. I've gained a lot of wisdom on the roots of who I come from, the inherited beliefs, emotional world, lots of things like that. And now it's time for me to begin creating something new with that same intention in mind. That's what my frontal lobe is focused on. So the rising sign, whatever your rising sign is, and that will be determined based off of your birth time. Once again, because that sets the rising sign is what begins the organization of all the houses. It is associated also with the horizon of the sun and blah blah blah. There's a lot to it, but essentially your birth time is what helps determine where the rising sign is in your chart. Whatever sign your rising sign is in, that is the sign that is most reflective of the most intrinsic part of you. The thing that comes so natural that you don't even have to think about it. Like it's not a head game. It's literally a gut game. Like you could even say, like gut responses are associated with this in one way or another. And so it's something that comes natural to you. So my rising sign is in Libra. So what comes natural to me is relationships. What comes natural to me is connections and charm and beauty and just sensual stuff. I'm also an earth sign, so I do like sensory stuff as well. But that is what comes natural to me. And that is also that frequency, that archetype, that way of being is also something that really deeply, deeply supported me whenever I was going through deep and hard times. What do you mean? So Libra, no, I'm not going to go there. Basically, whenever I was going through hard times, I would, what would I do? I would do things that would bring me pleasure. I would connect with people that would bring me pleasure. I would have sensory experiences, see beautiful things, be beautiful. I would do all of those things because it brought me into a state of expansion. And it just felt really, really good. And I needed that whenever I was going through hard times. And it kept me balanced and stable, even whenever all the other things were happening. So, once again, the reel that I just posted talks more about the planets associated with your rising sign. It even talks about the Chinese medicine side a little bit too in the caption. So, check that out if you want to know more about how you can support yourself based off of your rising sign. Yeah. Okay. So the final piece is the moon sign. Do I have anything else to say about the rising? I don't think so. No. I just like intrinsic, natural to you, deeply, like gut level, deeply supportive. That's the biggest thing. So the moon sign is Channing Nichols, I love. She talks about how it's connected to our mother. And so typically our moon sign is going to be our experience of our mother. So if you had a Capricorn moon, then typically your experience of your mother is going to be a bit more strict. It's going to be a bit more cold. Um, yeah. Versus someone that has a Cancer moon, it's going to be a mother that was extremely warm and nurturing and caring, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So, is there anything else? I think that was it. Okay, cool. That's in 15 minutes ish. Great. We love it. um, the just as a quick reminder, the dynamics that exist in an astrology chart give you an understanding of your design as a human being experiencing life. So, and how do you do that? How do you assert yourself? How do you relate? How do you build and create things? I mean, it's literally just that design. But wherever the sun and or the other planets are landing in your chart, that is where it gets into the earthly experience of what area of life am I building something? Or what area of life am I learning lessons around karma? Or like, what area of life feels really heavy? What area of life do I experience pleasure in? Okay, so, or, nurturing and that mother quality. So, the other cool thing about this too is that, and this is something that I wanted to mention, is that your people in your life that are different signs or same signs as you, they are actually there to be reflections of your own chart to you. So, like if you have, I mean, yeah, I'll give you an example for me. So, okay, so I have a few people that are Scorpios. I love Scorpio energy. I love it. I feel like I'm one of the few, but I freaking love Scorpio energy. And the area in my chart that is Scorpio is associated with being human. That's the thing that, so, yeah, being human, but in a specific context of the values of being human, the experience of being human. And so whenever I have my Scorpio friends come into my life or whenever we chat or anything like that, they are reflecting that back to me of all of the depths and the nuances that exist because that's Scorpio, all the depths of what it's like to be human, of, the pleasure, the pain, all that stuff versus someone who is a Gemini that's in my life. That's a completely different area of my chart. That area of my chart is more about what are the possibilities? What could happen? Let's think about all these things and analyze them, and that is exactly whenever Geminis come into my life. My mother is also a Gemini, so I do experience this a lot. It's very much more so that experience. So they're reflecting something back to me. And so anytime there's tension with a specific sign, I get to use that as a tool of connecting with myself and understanding more of myself. Sometimes it literally is the other person, and you've got to have discernment for that. But I did just want to add that as an additional thought that I don't hear a lot of people talking about is like the power of a person reflecting to you, your gifts, your shadows, your karma, your dharma. That is a true beautiful thing. And let's not even get started on the cycles and seasons as they move through. That's a whole other thing. But anyways, I'm going to stop here. Yeah. Thank you for joining. Until next time.